It was the first warm Saturday of summer. And I'd been planning my backyard barbecue for weeks. My smoker was polished, my playlist was loaded with classic rock. And my friends were bringing sides and drinks. The smell of hickory and slow-cooked ribs drifted through the neighborhood, blending with laughter and the sizzle of the grill. Everything was perfect, until she appeared. Her name was Karen McAllister, president of our HOA and self-proclaimed community standards enforcer. Karen was the kind of person who measured grass height with a ruler and reported mismatched mailbox paint to the board. I had always managed to stay out of her crosshairs, until that afternoon. She marched into my backyard, her face scrunched up like she'd bitten a lemon. "Excuse me," she snapped, waving a clipboard. "Do you have a permit for this event?" "A permit?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. "It's just a barbecue with some friends." "This many people constitutes a neighborhood gathering," she said sternly. "HOA policy requires advance notice and approval for events exceeding 10 attendees." I glanced at my friends, who stared at her in disbelief. "Karen, it's my property," I said calmly. "We're just having burgers and ribs, not a rock concert." Karen's eyes narrowed. "Noise, smoke, and unapproved outdoor cooking. Appliances are violations of Community Guidelines Section 4. Subsection B." She pointed toward my smoker like it was a bomb. I tried reasoning with her, but she wasn't having it. 10 minutes later, she was on the phone, calling the HOA. Then the police, then the fire department. When the fire truck showed up, the firefighters looked embarrassed. They saw the harmless barbecue, exchanged awkward glances, and left with a shrug. But the damage was done. My guests were uneasy, the music had stopped. And my perfect summer afternoon was ruined. Karen stood at the curb with her arms crossed. Smug satisfaction plastered across her face. "Rules are rules," she said. That night, as I packed away the leftovers, I heard a voice from my fence. My neighbor, Lisa, whispered, "Don't let her get to you. She's been running her little catering business out of her house for months, no permits, no inspections." I froze. Karen, the queen of HOA compliance, was secretly breaking health regulations. That little piece of information planted a seed in my mind. She wanted to play the rule game. Fine. Two could play at that. The next morning, I was still fuming. My barbecue had been completely derailed because of Karen's power trip. But Lisa's comment from the night before kept echoing in my head. She's been running her little catering business out of her house for months. I decided to find out just how little that business was. I started by checking the HOA website. Karen had made herself the head of the community events and culinary committee. Whatever that meant. Under her photo, there was a link to her so-called home bakery and catering service, Karen's Kitchen Delights. The irony nearly made me choke on my coffee. There she was, lecturing me about permits and HOA policies while advertising commercial food services from her living room. I dug deeper. According to the county's online records, no business license had ever been issued under her name or address. No health inspection records, either. I snapped screenshots and saved them to a folder titled Barbecue Revenge Plan. The next step was confirming it in person. Lisa helped me out, pretending to be a customer. She called Karen and asked about catering for her book club brunch. Within minutes, Karen was bragging about her famous chicken salad and signature mini quiches. She even offered to deliver samples that same afternoon, for cash, of course. When Karen dropped off the food at Lisa's place, I happened to be outside washing my car. She gave me the coldest glare imaginable, before forcing a fake smile for Lisa. Support small business, she chirped. As soon as she left, Lisa waved me over. The samples were sitting in unsealed plastic containers, no labels. No cooling packs, no hygiene standards in sight. It was obvious. Karen was operating an illegal catering business straight out of her home kitchen. Now, I wasn't usually the vengeful type. But she'd called the fire department on my barbecue. She'd embarrassed me in front of my friends. If she was going to hold everyone else to the rules, she'd better live by them too. That evening, I drafted an anonymous complaint to the county health department. I attached screenshots, the catering flyer, and Lisa's photos of the unlicensed food delivery. I hit send with a satisfying click. Within 2 days, I saw a county vehicle roll into our neighborhood, marked Environmental Health and Safety Division. Karen had no idea what was coming. The white county SUV parked right in front of Karen's pristine house on Wednesday morning. I was trimming my hedges, purely coincidentally. Of course, when 2 inspectors stepped out, clipboards in hand. They knocked on her door, and after a minute, Karen appeared in her usual pastel sweater and pearl necklace. From where I stood, I could see her expression shift from confident to confused to visibly nervous. "Ma'am, we've received reports of an unlicensed food operation being run from this address," one of the inspectors said. "Excuse me," she stammered. "That's ridiculous. I just share a few baked goods with neighbors." "Ma'am," the inspector continued, "we have reason to believe you're running a catering business without a permit or proper food safety certification." Karen's voice cracked. "Who told you that?" The inspector stepped past her into the house. Through her open door, I caught glimpses of trays, mixing bowls, and a countertop piled high with pastries and sandwiches. The smell of tuna salad hit the air, not exactly appetizing at room temperature. For the next hour, the inspectors went through her kitchen, jotting down notes and taking photos. At one point, they opened her fridge, shook their heads, and whispered something to each other. Karen's face was beet red. By then, a few neighbors had gathered outside, pretending to water plants or check mail while clearly watching the spectacle unfold. Word spread fast: Karen's in trouble. When the inspectors finally left, they handed Karen a stack of papers. Her voice trembled as she read them aloud: cease and desist order. Unsanitary food preparation. Violation of County Health Code 14.6. She looked up just in time to catch me standing by my hedge, trying not to smile. Our eyes met. For the first time ever, she didn't look smug, just furious and defeated. The irony was almost poetic. The same woman who'd shut down my barbecue for violating HOA standards had been running an illegal catering business under everyone's noses. That night, an emergency HOA email went out, signed by Karen herself. It read, effective immediately: I will be stepping down as HOA president due to personal matters. The neighborhood rejoiced. Someone even suggested throwing a freedom barbecue in her honor, this time fully approved by the HOA's new interim president, me. But I wasn't quite done with Karen yet. She might have lost her position, but I had one final surprise in store, something that would make sure she never messed with anyone's backyard again. A few weeks later, life in the neighborhood felt peaceful again. Without Karen's constant patrols, people actually smiled at each other. Kids played in the cul-de-sac. Grills smoked freely. It was a small slice of suburban heaven. But Karen had retreated into hiding. Her house stayed dark most evenings, curtains drawn. Occasionally, I'd see her rushing to her car, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Word was she'd been fined thousands of dollars by the county and forced to shut down Karen's Kitchen Delights permanently. Still, karma had one last serving to deliver. Our new HOA board decided to host a community potluck to restore neighborly spirit. Everyone was invited, including Karen. I didn't expect her to show, but sure enough, she appeared halfway through, wearing oversized sunglasses and a fake smile. She brought a covered dish, setting it down without a word. I couldn't help but notice the nervous glance she gave the table of health inspectors we'd invited as honorary guests for helping the community resolve recent issues. As the evening went on, laughter filled the air again. I manned the grill, flipping burgers under the warm sunset. When Karen approached, she muttered, "Your barbecue smells decent." "Thanks," I said with a grin. "All legal and inspected, of course." She didn't reply. Instead, she turned away just as someone announced over the mic, "Let's give a round of applause to our new HOA president for keeping our community fair and fun." The crowd cheered. Karen's face tightened, but she clapped politely, her eyes darting toward the inspectors who were enjoying ribs from my smoker. Later that night, as people packed up, one of the inspectors approached me and said quietly, "You know, that woman's lucky. Her setup could have made people really sick." I nodded, watching Karen slip away into the darkness, carrying her untouched casserole. "She's learned her lesson," I said. From that day forward, she stopped enforcing every petty rule and kept mostly to herself. My BBQs became legendary: smoke, laughter, and good food filling the neighborhood again without a single complaint. And every time I saw Karen drive by, I gave her a friendly wave. Sometimes, she'd force a tight smile. Other times, she just sped up. In the end, justice wasn't about revenge, it was about balance. Karen had tried to ruin my simple backyard joy with her obsession for control. But in the end, it was her own hypocrisy that smoked her out. Turns out, karma grills better than I ever could.